This is Will Montgomery, former Washington Redskins center.
Yo, what's good, folks? This is Trey Johnson, the headbanger, yo, and you're listening to Mess Hall with Rally Captain and Tailgate Ted. Word.
What's going on, Rally? How's it going, man?
Hey, Ted, let me tell you, man, the temperature is warming up. People are starting to get out and about more. And you see, I got my scout. This is my scouting cap that you see that I got on right now. So it's par for the course for what we got going on today with everything that's happening within our commander's organization, because everybody is cooking and everybody is warming up, and I got my hat on. So the question is, how you doing, bro?
I'm good. I'm not gonna lie though, man. I'm good. I do wish it wasn't so nice outside, right? It's for those wondering, it's Tuesday the 18th. We're recording this. I think they're expecting it to be like 60 plus something tonight. Every time it's nice outside, I hate it because there's too many people out at the court, and I gotta wait like an hour in between games, and it drives me crazy. I mean, I'm excited because there's people out there and they're playing, but I'm also pissed because the more people, there's only 4 courts that are full time, and then there's only 4 others that are part time. And not gonna lie, I've been getting into fights, well, arguments with the tennis people.
Wait a minute, Ted. Come on, man. You fight? Come on,
I've been
bro.
getting into arguments with the tennis players, right? Because they just got this attitude like their S don't stink and blah, blah, blah. And it's just, some of them are just, it's hostile. It's definitely getting hostile out there. And the nicer it's going to be outside, the worse it's going to be. So I need to find a place where I can actually just, not have to wait in line for an hour just to play a damn game that lasts maybe 15, 20 minutes. So, but it is, I'm looking outside. I can see FedEx Field right now, and it does make me wish football season was here.
Oh, yeah. But I got to tell you, you're going to be shocked. Guess what I'm doing this Saturday?
What are you doing?
I'm going to try my hand at the old pickleball, bro.
What?
I'm going to go ahead and try my hand. You've talked it up so much, and a guy invited me, and I said, you know what? All right, you know what? This must mean something. So I'm going to give my hand, give it a shot, and see how I like it or not like it, and go from there and see about, if I like it, investing in a paddle and doing what I got to do to maybe start doing this thing a couple of days a week or a weekend or whatever have you. I got to crawl before I walk, baby steps. But hey, man, Saturday, 11 o'clock. I'm not going to disclose the location.
My ass would be showing up if you were.
I don't need anybody recording me or saying, God dang, Rally Captain sucks. You need to stick to football or voiceover work, whatever have you. Yeah.
No, that's awesome though, man. I'm not gonna lie. I never thought I would hear you say that. So that's kind of fun to hear. I'm curious who you're playing with. If you need a paddle, man, it's not Saturday yet. It's only Tuesday. So, I got a couple you can borrow if you want. Don't tell me you're using one of those like $30 Amazon things.
Hey, I don't know. So the place apparently has paddles, and so it's like baseball. I don't know if I want a heavy paddle or a light paddle. That's the way it was explained to me. So just try the paddles out that they have, and then go from there. I guess they have certain ounce sizes or whatever have you. So, hey, I'm just going to see what it's all about, get my feet, dip my toes in the water, and just see if I like it or not. And then I'll go from there. And if I want to buy one, I'll buy one. But I got to at least try it first to see what's going on. So, yeah, man. What speaking of which, I have no clue. What size do you have? Heavy, light? What do you use?
There's a whole rabbit hole we can jump down, man. It has nothing to do with the weight of the paddle. It's something that's called swing weight, right? If take a hammer, for example. If you swing a hammer and you're swinging it and you're holding it by the butt of the hammer, it feels heavy. But if you flip the hammer upside down and you're holding the actual part that hits the nail and you're swinging it, it feels light. The weight is the exact same. The weight of the hammer didn't change. It's just the swing weight that is different. So it just comes down to what you feel better swing weight wise. I like a
Okay.
lower swing weight paddle, so your hands are faster when you're playing. Some people like a heavier swing weight paddle, but your overall static weight can be the same. So I just ordered it's called tungsten tape. Some golfers put it on the back of their golf clubs, different stuff like that. I got different sizes tape just to kind of change all the different characteristics. I mean, you obviously you're into biking. You customize your bike. You can customize the hell out of a paddle on top of what it just comes stock. So there's a lot of different things you can do to that thing.
Okay. Well,
You really rarely play with it just like it is out the box. You add weight to it, different tapes and stuff like that. So, but
all
I'm
right.
excited, man. I can't wait to get a text from you to hear how it goes on Saturday.
I will definitely give you my report and go from there, bro.
That, you definitely surprised me, man. I had no idea. I do need to find out who this. Actually, I'll ask you offline who this guy is that you're going to go play with because I'll
You don't
see if
know him.
he's okay.
Yeah, you don't know
I can look him up, see if
him.
he's
No,
in
you
the
can't.
rating system.
No, he's not.
Well, there's a tournament in the end of April. So, man, if you like this, man, I could use a doubles partner. We'll see how it goes.
Man, I don't want you laughing me out the gym, but okay, we'll see.
It'll be good, man. I'm excited. It should be fun times, and it's damn makes me feel like I'm doing nothing this weekend. I'm gonna have to. I do have my ball machine, so you let me know if you want me to bring that thing out, and you can hit some practice reps maybe before you get out to the court.
Hey, I don't know if I'll have another time for it. So, like I said, I'm gonna be a fish out of water, but at the same time, at least I'm giving it a try.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
guess what? If I can do this, then maybe somebody can put on some cowboy boots. I don't know.
Nah, I'm not even gonna make that bet because you would just do it just to spite me in cowboy boots. And as we know, anything on the internet lives forever. So I'm gonna pass on that one.
Yeah, like yellow pants. But hey, we're all good. We're all good.
We are, man. We are. Speaking of good, we got some feedback, some good feedback from a bunch of our listeners from last
Nice.
week's episode. And last week, those of you that haven't listened, you can go back and listen to all of them. They're all online, dmvmesshall.com. It takes you to whatever podcast platform you like, whether it's Spotify, iTunes, Podbean. There's so many of them out there. You can find our show on any of them. But last week, Riley and I talked about a bunch of things, but the one that got the most feedback was our stance on RFK 2.0. And another article came out by Tom Lavero this past week. Tom Lavero, those of you may know him if you're local. He calls in to 1067 The Fan and reports on different stuff. He's a reporter for the Washington Times. And his specific story this week was tailgating might not survive the move to RFK, which is what you and I talked about last week. Tailgating unlikely to survive transition to district's compact new RFK stadium. So last week, you and I talked about it, and we gave our opinion. Well, the people decided to chime in and give theirs as well. And we want to make sure you guys know that we are listening to you, and we're going to react to some of the comments you guys had. So I'm just going to go down the list here in no real order, but we do appreciate you guys listening and you guys interacting. It makes the show more fun.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And this is from our buddy Drew Cohen. Drew put, if there is a demand for tailgating, there will be supply. It may not be exactly on premises and may be a hike like Detroit, but someone will offer a solution even if it's a couple blocks away. So I'm going to chime in and I want you to chime in after and vice versa. And what we said on the last show was Mayor Bowser was talking and Eric Flack was talking about no tailgating on premises, right? Those of you that have the same thought as Drew, I get it, right? Detroit, it was a big city, right? And Drew tailgated with me in Detroit. We went there together. We sat together for the game, right? Their tailgate, I mentioned, you had to get a golf cart to take you to the stadium. Now, it was a guy that was working on tips and it was cool. And the golf cart had a wagon on the back of it so he could take like 10 people at a time. But being realistic, my tailgate takes what, 400 people? With the Hill Barbecue crew? That's a lot of trips on that golf cart to get everyone to the stadium, right? And for those of you that have not been, and I was actually just there today driving back from a meeting, there ain't a lot of parking lots around RFK.
No.
So I'm not sure what you guys are expecting or thinking, but if you get a chance after you watch Rally play some pickleball this Saturday, go drive by RFK, right? Tell me how many parking lots you see around there. And do you realistically think that they're going to have a ton of parking lots out there? Just take Nats Park, for example. Over by Nats Park, there aren't a ton of parking lots at all. You got a couple by the radio station, by 1067 The Fan, Odyssey on Half Street. All the other parking spaces out there are parking garages. We're talking the city. So it just comes down to square footage and available space. And that's what concerns me. And Drew called in to B. Mitch and Finley and actually brought this up. And he was hyping up the fact that he gets there so early in the morning, people don't really beat him there. I'm happy for you, Drew. My concern is for the people that don't get there that early. Shoot, Riley, I know you don't get there till close to 9 o'clock. And
Yeah.
the red zone opens at 8. So based upon what Drew's talking about, you'd be ass out because he's one of the guys that gets there first. And the supply won't be as high as the demand. That's what concerns me the most about this. Yes, I know we can still tailgate. Shoot, someone's probably going to offer me a deal to work with their restaurant or shop to still put on a tailgate, right? Just because of the following and the stuff I do. But that leaves everyone else out in the dust, everyone else out in the cold and the dark. That's not what I want for our fan base. That's why this is such a big deal to me. I'm curious what your thoughts are on Drew's comment.
Well, Ted, as I said before, and I'll say it again, we know that, yes, there will be a smidgen of tailgating. It's not going to be what is at Northwest Stadium right now or formerly North or FedEx Field. It just isn't going to be. You've got a lot of acreage around it, and anybody who doesn't know, if you just caught up on a rock, just Google Maps FedEx Field or Northwest Stadium, and then Google RFK site. It's just not going to happen. Yes, it will be a small amount, but Ted, I got to tell you, and I've said this before, and there is a red brick building. I'm not an architect, but there's a red brick building that if you are facing from the Maryland side into RFK to the left, it's maybe it's the old DC jail. I'm sure that they're going to take that land if it's not already given for something. And as you said, it's a walk. It's probably maybe half a mile, maybe 3/4 of a mile. They're probably going to do something in that area over there to bring everyone, based upon all the bitching, if you will. And they always said that the squeaky wheel gets the oil. So we keep squeaking. They're gonna allocate something, and that parcel of land that's vacant right now in that red brick building, there's like a school. There's a metro station, a school, and then if you look beyond that, there's a big parcel of land. Maybe that's the DC jail. I believe it is. I think that you're going to find that they're going to do something in that area. Now, I don't know this for sure, so don't say, well, Raleigh said it. I'm just thinking of that. That's a place where they possibly could allocate some land for groups to do small tailgating there, if you will. And like Detroit, like you said, it's a little bit of a hike. But if that's what you set out to do, that's what you're going to do. So, no, I don't like it. But at the same time, there are a lot of things that I don't like in life, but we've got to get with the times. And what they're banking on is majority of the people bringing their cases of beer, riding the metro, and walking to said point. And it gets to me, but hey, man, we've got to adapt to change, and I just see it coming, some shape, form, or fashion. So I don't like it, I
Yeah.
will continue to voice my opinion and say I don't like it. But what can I do about it? I can only voice it and say, hopefully you look out for the little guy, and tailgating is the little guy who pays the bills for the big guys.
And that's the thing is we're trying to look out for the little guy, right? It's like we know to a degree you and I will be taken care of, right? Just because of things that we built up for ourselves and our brand. But I'm concerned about the guys that aren't going to get there at 5 o'clock in the morning for a 9 o'clock lot opening, right? And this is from Mick into House. People tailgated in the 80s and 90s there, so why couldn't they now? Mick, it just goes back to what we talked about, right? There just ain't enough space for everyone to do it like we're doing out at FedEx or Northwest now, right? To have a lot, let's just take the red zone lot, for example. The red zone lot's not that big. To have a lot like the red zone lot out there, I don't see that happening. And from Eric Flack's article, he doesn't see that happening on property, right? Why would someone dedicate a parking lot? I was just in Northwest DC for lunch, right down by the White House. Why would someone dedicate a parking lot the size of the red zone lot to that area? You're going to put a building there that is going to be a restaurant, a storefront, or something that's going to generate revenue. What's not going to generate revenue is a flat parking lot that is only going to get used. You can only charge so much money out of. That's really all it comes down to. All right. And
well, Ted, you brought up a valid point, and it's going to come down, in all honesty, to the haves and have-nots. And if you want to pay, hypothetically, some absorbent amount for parking, and I'm not going to put a price on it, but we know how much it costs for platinum. Let's just say platinum, or to park underneath the solar panels. That's premium parking, and those guys pay a premium price. So if you want to tailgate, I'm sure that you probably could tailgate being right next to the stadium, but you're going to pay in excess. I don't even know what those guys. So any of our listeners who have platinum parking or park by the solar panels, underneath the solar panels, let us chime in and let us know what that costs to park there. And then we'll have an idea of a possibility of what it's going to cost. Because it's going to be more because it's in the district. It's a different tax bracket. It's going to be more. So expect to see that. And then we'll have an idea.
Well, you can't tailgate underneath the solar panels. You're not supposed to. Like, you can't put a grill. They won't let you stick a grill under there because the fumes and everything will mess up the solar panels. But I hear you, and that's my concern, right? I've got two friends now that have the Tunnel Club. The Tunnel Club is that special area you get for like $15,000 that you still have to pay for your ticket, by the way. They get you access to the game tunnel and all the free food underneath and this and that. Granted, one of them has the phone number for Magic Johnson and their boys, so maybe if you were a huge Lakers fan growing up, it's worth it for you. But that's my concern. Like, if you do want to tailgate on-prem, you're going to have premium seats, right? Because we have talked about this in previous podcasts. The Commanders and other NFL teams do not share revenue for premium seats. Why has the club level been getting all the upgrades? And why have I been bitching about them not upgrading general admission? Club level's getting the upgrades because they want you to buy club level seats because they don't have to give a percentage of that money to the rest of the other teams. So how do you incentivize people to buy premium seats? You make premium seats the only people that can tailgate or the only people that get those parking passes. That's another thing I'm concerned. Drew, I don't believe, sits on the club level. I think he sits downstairs, almost positive, right? So him wanting to get there early, well, sorry, you might be ass out of luck because you don't got a premium seat or, you have your dream seats. So I think those are considered.
They're not dream seats anymore, brother.
Oh, so they're general admission. So dream seats are premium seats. They're not counted towards the general admission price. So people in the dream seats, right? Let's just use that for example. They would have access to potentially the very, very limited parking around the stadium because there's very limited dream seats. Because how do you pick and choose who gets access to the premium parking? Well, to me, they've got to have a special premium ticket to do that. And that's what concerns me. And this is from the Command Corner tailgate, right? We know the guys over there. Says, we're definitely not on board with no tailgating. But as you said, we all got to retire at some point, but it will be upsetting. Hopefully, in the next 5 to 6 years, a solution can be achieved. We got to come up with something before the next 5 to 6 years, because once they start with these plans, they're not changing them. That's why I want our listeners to voice their opinions now. That's why I was reaching out to Tom Lavero to thank him for writing the article he wrote, because each new article or something that comes out is making people realize it's not just Rally and Ted blowing smoke up people's you-know-whats.
No, we're not here to do that. We really aren't. And you won't catch us doing that either. So we're going to give you the down and dirty. That's why we're called the Mess Hall, because we're going to talk about the mess that's going on. Good mess and bad mess.
Yeah, and this one from Notorious B.O.B. He says, while you may get your wish, as DC is about to be out. Notorious is referencing the fact that, and this isn't a political podcast, right? But the fact of the matter is, there was no government shutdown. The Senate approved the bill. Trump signed the bill. So the government has funding until September. The problem with that is, for those that don't live in this area, and we've got listeners all over the world, I see the analytics. That meant that DC has a $1 billion with a B dollar shortfall in their budget. It forced DC to revert to the 2024 budget, which is $1 billion less, which completely screws things for any kind of stadium. So Notorious is saying, well, it might not happen. Well, after that vote, the Senate approved a unanimous bill to allow DC to stay at the 2025 budget. The problem is the House doesn't come back until the end of March. They have to also sign off on it. So you might be wrong there. DC hopefully is going to get their budget approved and everything will be okay and they can spend that $1 billion. So then this still becomes an issue. We'll know by April if that's the case or not. But some people were thinking, well, it might not be a problem because DC's getting whored because of what happened with the government and everything else. And not even really going to comment on that. They're just stating the facts because some people just don't know about the budget extension and everything else.
No, they don't understand it. And truthfully, I'm not as well versed as you are, being an actual resident of the district. I mean, I read the tea leaves, but I don't get to the down and dirty and the gritty of it all. So I appreciate you telling me, because there's some things that I don't even know, and I'm right next door. So if someone is a million miles away, how could they even know about it? So appreciate it. Good stuff.
It's just something that people have been talking about online, not knowing what's going on. And I live downtown, so I got to make sure that we, completely don't get screwed. So I try to keep up with the stuff. This is from Juan de Rockville. Juan commented, said, tailgating or a dome, which would bring the district Super Bowls, concerts, NCAA football, or hoops champ games, with a question mark. I'm sorry, but if they built the stadium out at Northwest and they put a dome on it, you don't think they're going to get Super Bowls? You don't think they're going to get concerts there? You don't think they're going to get championship games out there? It's right around the corner from DC. The Cowboys don't play in downtown Dallas, right? The 49ers don't play in downtown San Francisco. They're out in Santa Clara.
Yeah.
I can literally see, I live in downtown DC. I'm looking out my window. I can see FedEx Field from here, right? So you mean to tell me you don't think that they're not going to get all those things if it's built out in Landover, PG County? I mean, once again, not a political podcast. Trump stated that Greenbelt was 3 hours away from DC. Maybe you got the same map as he does. Greenbelt ain't 3 hours from DC, and FedEx Field
15.
ain't that far from RFK.
Yeah, 15 minutes to 15 to 20 minutes from DC to Greenbelt. I say this. I look at what Nashville is doing. I look at what Atlanta has done, and Atlanta Stadium their dome wasn't that bad off, but yet they went down the street and built another one, a bigger and better version. Nashville Stadium, to me, wasn't that bad, but to them, it was terrible. So and they're building it right next door to it. I would like to know, what did he plan on doing with the land? And I know, like you said, this isn't a political show, but we have questions, and we'd rather you talk us through it than shove it down our throat. I just think that you could do much more at that location than in the district spot.
Yeah. And, we want to get both sides of the story. Obviously, there's people that are for it, there's people that are against it. Someone else that's not in favor of tailgating. This is Johnny Utah 4481. He came back and said, who cares? Tailgating is overrated anyway. Too much work. We always either cooked or go out and eat a huge breakfast or lunch before we go, before or on the way, more relaxing and easier. Then I get it, Johnny. There are some people that agree with you. They don't want to do the hassle and put on a tailgate and do this and do that. And there's some people that would just rather join an existing one. I know that's why a lot of people go hang out with the command corner. A lot of people go to Extreme Skins. Theirs is all potluck. That's why I get all the people that join me. I get a majority of people are coming from out of town, out of the country, even to our tailgate because they don't have the ability to. They don't want to buy a grill that they just throw away to do something, right? And I get that there's no place to really go by Northwest Stadium right now. So there's no bars and places to frequent like you have that JJ757 talked about, like at Nats Park with Walters and Atlas and Saltline. So I understand, but something you guys also have to understand is they're not just talking about building a stadium out in Landover, right? We talked about this a year ago on the podcast. The people that built the Ashburn Town Center area, they're talking about building $1 billion type same thing out in PG that was going to get built regardless or not. So if the stadium is put out there, there's going to be bars out there as well. There's going to be things out there as well that are supposed to be within walking distance. It's not going to be like Northwest is right now. They're going to redo and revamp that area. So to me, you can have the best of both worlds in Landover or Rowjohn, whatever you want to call it, but you cannot have the best of both worlds in DC. It's just a fact.
Yeah, you're going to have to give something up. You just are. What they actually are trying to do is what the Patriots have done at their stadium. And if anybody's ever been to the Patriots Stadium, you know exactly what I'm talking about. They've got shops, they've got hotels, restaurants, bars, retail, you name it, it's there. And that's what they're trying to ultimately do at the RFK site. And once again, there's only so much land that you're going to be able to do that with. So, hotel, where would you put that? Like I said, I'm not an architect, and I don't know what they actually plan on doing with the land and how they're going to repurpose it. But it seems like they want to do a lot with a limited amount of space. And we know that the stadium obviously is going to be smaller to house what, 65,000, I think.
Well, they haven't mentioned that yet, right? When Snyder was still here, there was a big uproar about the fact that it was going to be less than the minimum required capacity to host a Super Bowl. Like, why are you going to spend all this money to build a stadium and you can't host a Super Bowl? We do know that Josh Harris and the ownership group, they want to host a Super Bowl in DC. So it's going to have to be at least that capacity.
Yeah. Yeah. So because of that, the venue is going to be smaller. The constraints are there. There's only it's like a Metro car. If one Metro car hypothetically holds 100 people, then that's what you're going to get. You're only going to be able to get 100. You might be able to get 101, pushing them in there, but you're not going to get that much. So you got to work within the constraints and the confines that you're given. So I'm, and we can beat a dead horse with this, but I'm very interested to see what they come up with, what it looks like. And that one rendering that they came up with, that wasn't anything official. That was just one guy who, this is what his vision was. So we'll see. And this could be all for naught. At the end of the day, it could be all for naught. And they come up with this, they rethink things and come up with this lovely area, maybe a barge. because no one uses those waterways no one uses those waterways for huge boats. I don't even think the water's that deep, but they could put a barge there someplace, and that could be a stage area for tailgating or something. I don't know. I'm just talking, just thinking about stuff. But speaking of which, I heard that they also want to use that as a waterway to have boats.
Yeah, they want to do ferries, right?
Yeah,
I mean, to pick people up at National Harbor, pick people up in Georgetown, pick people up at Nats Park, and just connect it. Like, I mean, you can do that in Pittsburgh. You can take the ferry to Three River Stadium. They've got the Three Rivers that meet right there that people can get to. So I get that. And like we said before, where there's a will, there's a way, right? It's just people are talking about coming across the Anacostia Bridge, right? Okay, for a 1 o'clock game, what time are you going to have to pack up to get your ass across that bridge? Or what time are you going to have to leave if you're going to tailgate over by, let's just say, MGM, and you want to hop on your ferry to get down there, right? You're going to start your tailgate at 6 a.m. to then jump on the ferry and shut down in time just to make sure you get there. Granted, there won't be any traffic, but the boat can only hold so many people. And you're going to have a lot of people jumping on that boat that weren't tailgating, that are doing stuff. And so it's never going to completely go away, right? Unless there's a rule in DC that says, like, I'm out in Ocean City, Maryland a lot. There's a rule that says you cannot have a grill or an open flame within 20 feet of a building, right? So technically, going by the letter of the law, where I hang out, you can't grill or cook out, right? And it just sucks. Unless there's a rule that gets passed like that in the district, which isn't going to happen, people will find a way, right? My concern is it's just going to be very difficult, and the ones that can do it are going to be the privileged few. And I am concerned about the masses, not the minority at that point. And that's why we're bringing this up. And not to rehash things, we just want you guys to know that A, we are listening, and B, just answer some of your comments at that point and kind of go from there. And those that feel the same way we do, make your voices heard. Right. I'm seeing that ownership is looking at the stories that we're putting out there, or at least my stories, complaining about it. I want you guys to do the same if you feel the way Riley and I do. And if you don't feel the way we do, hey, pound sand. I mean, that's your opinion. Good for you. I'm not going to agree with you. I've muted so many people just because of this story, because I just don't want to hear them, on my timeline. But I do appreciate them chiming in.
Definitely. We appreciate you listening.
Yeah, definitely do. So moving on. It has been officially 1 week since the start of free agency, tampering, being able to resign, unrestricted free agents, all that stuff. I mean, you could resign them whenever you wanted to. But CBS Sports gave the Commanders a grade for all the moves they made. And just to go over the moves, this was as of 3 o'clock today. I do know that the team added someone else today, but not even going to get into that. He's more of a depth guy. But just talking about the people we added. We added Laramie Tunsil via trade. It's a 2-year deal currently. Deebo Samuels via trade. He's on a 1-year deal. Javon Kinlaw, who's on a 3-year deal. We picked him up as a free agent. Will Harris, 2-year deal, free agent. Those are all starters. So we added 4 starters out of 22. So 4 out of 22 guys are going to be brand new starting for this team as of today. Then they also added Jacob Martin, free agent, Jonathan Jones, free agent, Eddie Goldman, Dietrich Wise, and Nate Herbig. When we talked on the last pod, I asked you what were the biggest needs the Commanders needed to address. And you said the guys with their hands in the dirt. So they added Tunsil, Kinlaw. Those are the guys with their hands in the dirt. What grade does Riley give them today based on the moves that were made?
Well, I asked to beef up both sides of the ball, the hands in the dirt, like you said, and they did that. And the thing about it is they didn't necessarily do it with, I guess, a lot of A1 star power, if you will. There's a couple guys who were sprinkled in there, but true A1 star power, They didn't do that. And I'm happy they didn't do that because a lot of times, man, these divas, we don't want it. So I'm happy that they got these guys who are hungry. And that's what it boils down to, guys who are hungry, who want to play football, the kind of football that Commanders are looking at playing. Most importantly, what our head coach, he wants to play. That's what it boils down to. So the grade that I give them a B plus. I give them a B plus to an A, just from what I've seen and what I've heard. And I'm looking forward to seeing them. We got a while to go for this, a ways to go for this, but I'm looking forward to seeing them strap the pads on, put the chin straps on, and go at it, because then we'll really know. We always say paper doesn't play the game, but it's the start. So I like what I see. What say you?
So before I get to my grade, some might argue that Kinlaw is going to be behind Johnny Newton, right? I'm looking at Our Lads. It's a great website that has depth charts. Our Lads has Kinlaw as the starting right defensive tackle. They've got Johnny backing up Duran. So I'll just go with what they're saying. And this is as of 3/16. But you're giving them a B plus / A. What do you think CBS Sports is giving them?
I haven't. I'm going to say an A.
Okay. You're going to say an A?
I'm going to say an A.
All right, I'll give it to you. They gave him an A plus. I mean, you can't get much closer. So it's saying
Okay.
Adam Peters gets the highest grade for Commanders' 2025 recruitment strategy. And this is from all 32 teams. Peters got the best grade total. Tyler Sullivan, Garrett Padell, and Jordan DeJohnny from CBS Sports lauded Peters for what they perceived as another recruitment clinic, giving Washington an A plus grade. This is from Rigo's Rag. The trio proclaimed the approach used couldn't be more perfect for where the Commanders are right now. Something that has them primed for another deep postseason run in 2025. And this is from the CBS Sports article. This is exactly how you build around a franchise quarterback who is still on his rookie contract. The Commanders, fresh off a trip to the NFC Championship, have made several splashes in the early stages of this free agent cycle. First, they kept their core intact by bringing back Bobby Wagner and Zach Ertz. Meanwhile, they made massive trades landing Deebo Samuel and Laramie Tunsil. That gives Jaden his much-needed number 2 receiver and a star left tackle. They also helped out the defensive line by signing Javon Kinlaw. No matter how you slice it, the Commanders are even better than when we last saw them. So, I mean, you give them an A, they gave him an A plus. I'm going to go with, I'm probably going to say a B minus, right? And it's tough because this just started, but just as of today's grade. And the reason why I'm saying B minus is Kinlaw doesn't move the needle for me, right? And I want and I need a pass rusher for this team. And maybe there wasn't one out there that they could have got. Maybe there wasn't someone better. Yes, they saved money with Kinlaw. Yes, he's younger than John Allen. There was a story that came out today saying that Minnesota actually made the best move in regards to free agency by signing John Allen to their roster. Granted, Minnesota needed help there, so I think that's why they gave them that rating. But I'm a
lot of money too.
Yeah, I think it's $20 million a season, right? And we didn't give Kinlaw that much because Kinlaw hasn't even actually done that well the past couple of years. This is Javon actually talking about, being back in DC and kind of his thoughts on the Commanders.
Everybody talking about the Commanders, and shoot, man, I'm just happy to be here, bro. It ain't even about the wins, the losses. It's about the belief, and these people, they believe in me over here, bro. They believe in me. They see the progression every year. I'm looking to get better. Every year I've gotten better, and I'm going to continue to get better. And I'm just happy that it's here, that I get to showcase that.
So Kinlaw's from DC. He actually grew up right down the road from where I'm living right now. Right. During his press conference, he was talking to David Aldridge about where he was because David grew up in DC as well, and just kind of going back and forth. So John Allen also was from here. Granted, not DC, but out in Ashburn area, and you know, so was Dwayne Haskins. Right. It doesn't always work out when someone comes back home, but I do hear the sincerity in Kinlaw's voice that he's excited to be back, that he's excited to be here, and that the team is, he's happy to be reunited with some guys that drafted him because Peters was there when he got drafted. These guys were there when he got drafted. And just looking at last year's grades, he had some tough games, right? He had a 33.8 grade against Minnesota, a 36.3 against Buffalo. But towards the end of the season, he started going up. He started doing a little bit better. He had a 69.2 his second time against Buffalo, right? Not looking at the actual numbers. I'm just going on the PFF grades. So maybe he's ascending, and maybe he just needed a different change of scenery. And this is what he needs. And I'm hoping. But right now, not knowing what kind of player we're going to get, like, he hasn't been the best against the run. And where we sucked last year was against the run. Who we have to face twice a year is the best running back in the freaking NFL, Saquon, and that damn offensive line. So the jury's still out for me on have we done enough? And I know there's going to be more players cut. There's going to be the June 1st cuts where they're going to have to clear roster space. And who knows what we're going to do in the draft. So maybe Peters addresses it. But it is refreshing to hear that some pundits out there that looked at all 32 teams, not just our team, gave Peters the number 1 grade, right? And looking at this, the Cowboys got a C-, just staying in the division, saying Dallas has gone bargain bin diving for low-cost former first-round picks. They've taken 1-year or 2-year flyers on the following former first-round picks: Peyton Turner, Solomon Thomas, Khair Aleem, and Kenneth Murray, right? So hearing that they didn't do that well, that's great. And let's just see what they gave the Giants and the Eagles. Just, care only about our division. The Giants, they gave a C+, right? And the Eagles, hope to God they didn't get an A. The Eagles got a C-. So, that
Interesting.
That is interesting. Since the Super Bowl champs lose 2 key figures to their championship run in Josh Sweat and Milton Williams, which is why their grade is what it is. Trading away CJJB, GB doesn't help either. Philadelphia will still threaten to hoist the Lombardi Trophy in 25, but they'll need to cushion the blow of losing those 3 pieces on defense. On a more positive note, the team did retain Zach Bond and sign Saquon Barkley, locking him in long term. So maybe that Eagles, defensive line isn't going to be as daunting opponent for us. Losing Sweat and Williams, who knows? And they did get rid of 2 corners. I mean, they still got Guantanamo Bay over there and everything else, but maybe they got a little bit worse. Not going to lie, I was hoping we were going to get Sweat over here because we still need someone off the edge to get some pressure. And we lost, what's his face? Went back to Dallas. Dante Fowler went back to Dallas.
Fowler.
So,
it's coming. It's coming, bro. It's coming. Keep your fingers crossed. It's coming. I believe it is.
I'm just curious who's left. But in the last episode was named Ian Peters We Trust. Still agree, 1,000%. In Peters We Trust. I did ask our listeners, which addition are you most excited about? After going through all of them. And I want to ask you, knowing those 4 starters and the other people we added, who are you most excited about?
Believe it or not, Ted, I'm excited about Will Harris. And I know he's safety, but I'm excited the fact that he played with the other cat that came over from New Orleans who didn't do well with us because he was hurt.
Lattimore.
And Lattimore. Anytime you can get some guys who have played together, who understand each other's tendencies, it helps. I know we're going to say that, well, they didn't help with Payne and Allen. Well, in the beginning, it did. In the beginning, it did help with those guys. They shut things down until they got paid. And then, unfortunately, like a lot of teams, or barred injury, unfortunately, like a lot of teams, once the player gets paid, they aren't as good as they were when they were hungry back in the day. So, but I'm interested to see how they put them together, how they scheme them up, how they can possibly become something that can stop the ball in the air, even though our biggest fault was the run. But we still got cooked in the air a lot. You know, we can talk about the run, but we got beat in the air. So a couple pieces on here that helped us get cooked in the air. So I'm hoping that they are able to take care of that, and that's what I'm looking for. All right, so I've given you mine. Who do you think?
I'm excited about Debo, right? And the fact that he's on a 1-year deal, the fact that we have a real number 2 receiver to complement Terry, right? We saw what this offense did with journeyman receivers. Now we have a true number 2, and Terry broke the touchdown record for the franchise last year without having a true good receiver beside him. And this is no knock on Noah. This is no knock on OZ, or Diami. Granted, Diami might be a bad example, but Noah and OZ aren't starting on another team's roster. And okay, yeah, Diami's going to start for Jacksonville, but he's on a prove-it deal, right? We know Debo would have. And it's nice to see someone else there, because a lot of people chimed in, and I'll go over it, but they said Tunsil hands down. Jaden gets rid of the ball so fast. He wasn't under pressure a ton. He knows how to deal with that pressure. To me, he's going to get rid of the ball even faster. Now that he's got Debo there, he's got more options. He's got more ways to just carve up another team. And Nick Kearns chimed in. Oh, sorry, no, this is David chimed in. He said Debo, he should add so many different dimensions to the offense. And I
like that.
I really agree. I do think that our offense is going to open up, because you got Debo lining up as a running back. He can just do so many things, and he is motivated to get paid. You just mentioned how Duran, right? I don't think you actually said Duran in general with the payday, but you mentioned how, players play when, they're trying to get that next check. Debo's trying to get that next check, and seeing him added to our offense, if he can stay healthy and actually come in at the right weight, which he is talking about doing, and he is hitting the gym and doing everything he needs to now, it's scary to think what the hell our offense is going to do next year, considering what they just did this past year.
Well, I got to correct you, Ted. Not next year. Later this year, brother. Later this year. That sounds so far away. Next year. No, we're on the cusp of a new season right now. We're in it right now. So later this year, brother. Let's keep that going, because I don't want to go back or prolong this damn thing. So yeah, I hear you with Debo. I mean, he is going to be able to be a flash in the pan, and I think that, like you said before, we had a lot of smoke and mirrors, and teams caught up with that smoke and mirrors, I believe. And so now we don't need smoke and mirrors. We can actually just cram it down your throat.
Yeah, I agree with you. And this is from a bunch of guys on X. This is from X Go Caps. Tunsil, because he's really good and one of the best or the best offensive tackle in free agency. He wasn't a free agent. We traded for him. Good tackles don't hit free agency. So that's why we had to give up for him. This is from Shane. Tunsil, reason is quite simple. Adding a top 5 left tackle is huge. And then from Tim from the tailgate, Tunsil, and it's not even close. And I mean, I agree. Tunsil is a huge addition, right? And he helps out with that line. Coleman can move to a different spot. They're talking about maybe now moving Wiley into right guard, putting Coleman out at right tackle, keeping Badass and Allegretti where they are, because Cosme's not going to be healthy in time for the season. So it is exciting to see. This is actually what Tunsil had to say about the impact he thinks he can make for Washington this season. And I apologize for the audio. He did this Zoom. It looked like on his back porch or front porch outside his house.
What impact do you think you can make for Washington? I mean, honestly, I think I can make a huge impact. Just talking from a player standpoint, what I bring to the table, pass protector, a damn good run blocker, a leader. Um, I could be a mentor to the young guys in the O-line room, D-line room, doesn't matter, in the position group. I think I can make a huge impact quickly, honestly. In my opinion, I think they traded for me for that reason, just to make a huge impact on the team. So, I'm down to do whatever they want me to do, especially at year 10. If they need me to play quarterback and back up Jaden Daniels, then I can do that, running back, whatever.
I was actually surprised that none of the reporters laughed or joked. It was on Zoom, right? Because he's not local, but him saying he could play quarterback or come in at running back. And then at one point during his press conference, he talked about Jaden throwing him a touchdown. He might have seen Jaden's first touchdown throw to, I can't remember that tackle that came in, the tackle eligible play. So, but I mean, seems like a good guy. There have been a couple people knocking him because he had a ton of penalties. I think the most like penalties, pre-snap penalties in the league and just different stuff. But I do know that the vets that we have on this team and the guys we have and the coaches we have, they'll get that cleaned up. So that doesn't really concern me. I'm surprised though, because you said last week that the guys with their hands in the dirt were the ones that you were most excited about. But I do like your reasoning about Harris, man, because watching clips of Harris just being that enforcer back there, yeah, I'm bummed we didn't sign Jeremy Chin and then he walked and he's gone. But from seeing what I've seen with Harris, because I've got the football whatever subscription where you can just literally put in a
22 or
person's
something like that.
yeah, the all 22 where you can put in their name and look at all of their highlights and all their plays from all games. Man, I was not gonna lie. I got about as excited about hearing you play pickleball as I did watching those clips, man. And I was pretty damn excited about hearing you play pickleball. So that's how crazy I am about
Brother,
this.
hey, look out there, man. We're in for for a good thing, then. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. We needed beef, and I said it last week. We needed beef up front, and I'm looking forward to seeing how each of these players fit into this scheme that we're going to put forward. And that's why I said that. At the same time, if by chance the beef up front doesn't get it done, then you got to rely upon your secondary to help out. And so that's where your Debo comes in to be able to dump the ball off, and that's where Will Harris comes to be able to shut down those passes over the top. So if by chance they can't get it done, then you've got people in positions who know what to do, how to do it, why to do it. And I think that it's just a matter of scheme to help everyone succeed, because I truly believe that Witt is good. Mr. Witt is going to, or Coach Witt, however you want to call it, he's going to see their deficiencies and make them stronger, the same way he did with the guys that were on the squad. And if you notice, when we first started off, we had a lot of deficiencies, and they started plucking those guys away to put the best talent on the field. And that's what I'm looking forward to later this year.
I mean, just going back to what you said earlier, right? It just the relationship he has with Lattimore, right? Maybe Lattimore didn't feel as comfortable with the guys that were back there. And the communication. We've all seen bad communication in our defensive secondary. What the hell that looks like. And these guys having a rapport, right? I'm excited about that as well. And we'll see what kind of impact he can make. The guys that we did bring back, right? Mariota, Jeremy McNichols, Noah Brown, KJ Osborne, Zach Ertz, John Bates, Mike Dieter, Trent Scott, Sheldon Day, Bobby Wagner, Cleveland Farrell, Noah I, Kevin Seymour, and Nick Bellore. Those were the guys that we re-signed. Out of them, who are you most excited to see back?
Believe it or not, give me Tressway. I'm happy to see Tressway back, brother. I am. Because when it all else comes down to it and the last man standing to get the ball down the field into the opponent's hand or pin them back, Tress, man. I like everybody else, don't get me wrong. But I think that when it comes down to that that fourth down, and you got to kick it and pin the guy's back to turn that field position over. I like Tress. And you?
To me, Bobby Wagner's the easy one to say, so I'm not going to say Bobby. I'm happy that Zach Ertz is running it back because he showed a ton, right? I feel that Jaden trusts him. Jaden knows where he's going to be, and he knows if he puts the ball there, Zach is going to come down with it. On top of that, we need a mentor for that tight end room, right? They signed John Bates to a 3-year deal. Ben Sennett did nothing last year. And maybe he did nothing because because Ertz did everything. But to have that veteran tight end there that Sennett can learn from, I think is invaluable. And it's not like Ertz is breaking the bank, right? And I'm happy that Ertz decided not to retire and that he's running it back with us, because that, to me, these vets, they're not going to want to play for a team towards the end of their career that's not going anywhere. It also shows me that they have faith that they can repeat this thing again and get back to the championship game, if not farther. So I'm really happy about that. I am surprised that the running back room is the exact same as last year, as of now, and that the tight end room is the exact same as last year, as of now. Are you surprised they didn't make any additions to running back or tight end?
Well, the running back position is a fluid position, as we know, and you can pick a running back up in the later rounds who can do everything that you need and more. So why change it right now? You know, you allow those guys to continue to earn some money through camp and allow them to continue to put their best foot forward if by chance something happens and they need to go to another team. So, and maybe they feel as though we got better on the offensive line, which means our running back room will get better. Did what's my man's name? Oh God.
What position?
Running back.
Rodriguez?
No, not Rodriguez. The other guy.
McNichols?
No, he came in short, light-skinned guy. Came from San Diego. Or Eckler. He's back.
Eckler's still here. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean,
that's what I'm saying. It's the exact same running back room.
So yeah, I'm not upset with that. But there's always a guy, like you said, who will come in and he starts off as a camp body, and the next thing you know, he's turning heads, and he winds up taking someone's spot or getting more playing time than what they ever expected them to do. So this is a fluid situation. Let it unfold, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I am curious. Right, they brought back Chris Rodriguez. A lot of people were surprised because he was a Rivera guy, and most of the Rivera guys that were drafted are gone. So
yeah, but he's a Rivera guy. He's a Rivera guy who can play, though. That's the thing. If you were a Rivera guy and you couldn't play, that's one thing. But Rodriguez, he can play. So that's the difference between the 90% of the guys who you brought in. Those guys, I mean, I never made pro, so I don't want to talk to you bad about them. But they had issues. How about that? They had issues.
No, I agree with you. The problem is they don't activate him, right? They never make his ass active. So he's just sitting inactive on game day because they're only carrying 3 running backs. And I get you have to have a bruiser type back like a B-Rob because let's face it, he's not the healthiest running back. He hasn't played a full season. He gets banged up, right? Eckler's under contract until 2026. So this is his last year. Next year, he's an unrestricted free agent. He'll be 31. But I do hope that Rodriguez shows more at camp, or we get to see more out of these guys, because McNichol is nice, don't get me wrong, but he's no Eckler and he's no B-Rob. He's less than both of those guys, and maybe they'll address it through the draft. We don't have a ton of draft picks, so I hope we don't waste one on a running back. Maybe someone else is going to get cut. But it's going to be interesting to see what goes on because the offense, they definitely drastically changed at left tackle and a wide receiver, brought some guys back. The defense, looking good. We still got some holes we got to fill, and the draft is going to be coming up soon. I don't know what's going to happen. Are we going to trade back? We got to have someone that we want to dance with that's going to actually want that pick. Is it going to be worth it? Some people are still hoping that we trade for Hendrickson or make some big splashy move. I think we have just shy of 30 million in cap space. I could be wrong, but they also have to have that space for signing their players, right? The guys they bring on as well. So who knows? But all I do know is that it's going to be exciting. It's going to be fun to talk about. And I appreciate you guys chiming in and actually interacting with Rally and I on the show.
Before we go, Ted, because I hear the music playing, are you going to the draft this year, Green Bay?
Nah, man, I ain't going to Green Bay. There's nothing to do out there. The team actually messaged and asked if I was going. And I know that something's going to be happening here. Green Bay doesn't excite me, man. We're playing there this year, so I'm praying it's not December so I can actually go to that game. But nah, are you going?
No. This will be like my 5th time going to Green Bay, and I will be at the game. But, I can't do it again. And I'm not going to Milwaukee to drive, a couple hours back to get this. It ain't going to happen. So, but I figured I'd ask. So maybe someone else you newcomers can get into the round circle. We'll give it those seats up for you guys because, hey, they're going to be available for you guys to be there. So, but
and before you guys ask us how you get those passes, reach out to your ticket rep. Rally and I cannot get you inner circle passes because I had so many people last year that were asking, "Oh, how'd you guys get that? I've had season tickets for all these years." Reach out to your ticket rep. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep, they have more power than what you know of. So reach out to them and have them work for you. All right. But hey, man, I got today is Tuesday, so we got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We got 3 days and a wake up before Rally debuts his pickleball skills.
I gotta find out where you're gonna be, man. I want to watch so bad, but
no.
I'll have to.
Maybe
the second time.
Maybe the second game.
Right.
We'll go from there. All right, we'll go from there. Second game. But hey, the music playing in the background was letting me know that we are coming to an end of another DMV Mess Hall, and we greatly appreciate you guys riding with us. And we're going to see you next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. So, hey, remember, you rep it hard. You don't rep it at all. Rally Captain, Tailgate Ted. Till next time.